Seth, and I'm going to be talking politics, Family Guy, and my new series, The Loudest Voice. As Peter Griffin might say, it's going to be freaking sweet.
Seth MacFarlane is one of America's leading satirists, both on his iconic series, Family Guy, and on Twitter. Now he's starring in the provocative new miniseries, The Loudest Voice, as a henchman for Fox News during the era of Roger Ailes. I've been watching it, and I'm hooked. It's really good. Take a look.
I can't get fired. Not now. I need this job. Look, sometimes reporters get bad information. So I'm not being fired? Well, not yet. But, leak again, and you will be. Ryan, I didn't leak. I would never.
You didn't leak. You didn't go down to Langan's and get drunk. You didn't tell that secretary in corporate you're trying to about a Riley stalled contract. You didn't do that.
She works with us.
She works for News Corp, not Fox. Anyone outside Fox is the enemy, and we do not talk about what we do.
Please welcome the very talented and lovely Seth MacFarlane.
I realize we all work for the same company now, don't we?
Do we?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Funny.
I didn't even notice that. But the show's great. I mean, we'll talk about it in a second, but I just have to say, I really am enjoying it.
Yeah.
Roger Ailes, what a piece of work. Holy.
Yes. Yeah.
Whoa.
Interesting.
And who plays Russell Crowe has transformed himself. It's
fantastic.
brilliant.
Really good.
And you're great in it too, also, Seth. So I understand that. I know. No, he is. He's great too. But Russell plays Roger. Look at this. It looks just like him.
Yeah, it does.
You're very political yourself, right?
I try to be.
And you were a Bernie bro back in the day.
Well, yeah, if you want to call it that. Yeah, early on.
I was for a minute too.
Yeah, yeah.
I even named my dog after him.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yes.
So who are you?
Dog's name Sanders?
No, Bernie.
Bernie.
So what are you up for now?
You know, I at the moment, I think intelligently, I try to keep a pretty open mind.
Yeah.
I have a handful of candidates that I am fond of, but, you know, as we all know, it can change overnight.
Yeah, we were just saying that. Yeah, but there were a few rising stars in there.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see.
Buttigieg is a rising star. Obviously, you know, Elizabeth Warren is a big rising star.
People are saying, I want to vote for the person who's going to win, not the person I like.
I think right now that's probably a good frame of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. MacFarlane, you and I are pretty much polar opposite politically, but you tweeted something the day before yesterday that I retweeted, and you were saying that Democrats need to stop eating each other if they want to beat Trump in 2020. And I say this on The View almost every day.
Yeah.
Can you explain what you meant by that?
Well, I think it's, you know, look, there's a certain amount of, obviously, altercation that comes with any primary, and I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about more, you know, on the ground. I think that there's I mean, what does Bill Maher call it? A purity test? That, like, if you're not absolutely in line with everything that that a certain part of the party wants you to be, then you're somehow, you're there to be attacked. And I think that at this point in time, let's focus on the existential threat.
Of Donald Trump.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe let's worry about the little stuff. Let's pick our battles, and that's one thing that we're not always so good at.
But they need to differentiate themselves from each other. That's what's going on right now.
So many of them. So.
Yeah.
Well, you have met Donald Trump a couple times because you actually emceed the Comedy Central roast of him in 2011.
Yeah.
What do you remember about him?
You know, I remember. There's two things I remember. I remember he was a little dull. That's what it doesn't.
Isn't that something?
It doesn't really add up with the person who we see on television. He was
when the camera wasn't on.
It was shockingly kind of quiet.
Huh.
If you can believe that, he was kind of quiet. And I just remember the one thing you weren't allowed to joke about was the bankruptcies. Like that was
really?
That's it. You're like, you can call him a harasser, you can call him a jerk, you can whatever you want, but just for God's sakes, don't make fun of the money.
Really? So the money is what he didn't have a thick skin about.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
That's what got him.
But everything else
Anthony
was fine.
Jeselnik says too.
Yeah. That's right. He was there then. Yeah.
So let's talk about the show again, because it's called The Loudest Voice.
The Loudest Voice.
Which refers to Fox News, I presume.
Yes.
I remember him saying, will be the loudest voice.
Yeah, it's basically The Loudest Voice in the Room, which is Gabe Sherman's book that the show is based on.
Right.
Yeah.
And you play a guy named Brian Lewis, who is a right-hand man to Roger Ailes, correct?
Yes, correct, yeah.
You're not a good guy either in this.
No.
I mean, Brian Lewis's character has a little bit of an arc where he kind of develops a conscience about what's going on midway through the...
I haven't watched the whole series yet, so I look forward to that.
But I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, there's an interesting arc that he's a little kind of outside the melee at times.
But you say that Roger Ailes may be responsible for or they say it in the play anyway, in the show, that he may be responsible for the modern Republican Party.
Yeah.
And I was interviewed by Roger Ailes one time. He was so nice to me.
Yeah,
I guess I wasn't, going to be sexually harassed by him.
Well, yeah.
I'm not his type.
I mean, look, it's interesting. You find even the people that you disagree with most. It's very hard to hate from up close. And I find that even the most conservative, even the most diehard conservatives that I've spoken with, when you're sitting in a room together and you're face to face, it's like the internet is the enemy of discourse.
It is.
We all know this.
True.
But yeah, Ailes is an interesting guy because he began as a marketer, brilliant marketer, who had this idea that a news network that essentially functioned as entertainment, that portrayed good and evil, heroes and villains, and the simplicity of that was what was missing in the landscape. And he was unfortunately right.
Well, he thought MSNBC was doing the left, and he needed somebody to do the right, and that's when he came up with the idea.
Yeah.
He was right, and he convinced Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah.
And here you have it.
And you actually sort of just said what Joe Biden said. When you're in the room with him, you got to figure out how to continue the conversation.
It's the only that's what our side, I feel like, has to learn. And I feel like our emotions are oftentimes, we're generally going for the right idea, but it's like you're never gonna convince your racist uncle that he's a racist by calling him an idiot.
Yeah.
You've got to get in there in a more subtle way.
How? Tell me.
Well, it could take years.
It take my whole life. I'm too busy.
Yes, it could. It could, but you still have to go to your aunt's house.
You got to
for
do
the
it.
meal.
Yeah.
You still have to do it.
Yeah.
But forget all this for right now because congratulations, because your show Orville has just gotten picked up for third season.
Yes. We're very happy about that.
Are you still having fun?
I'm still loving it. I'm still loving it.
And
We did that for 7 years. I mean, you must have had a blast.
I loved it. I miss it.
Well, you should come to our show.
I miss it. Out there in space, just dodging stuff and trying to get the ship.
The master of all.
Yeah. And then here we are. But is it still as exciting as it was for you? You see people in the costume, does it make you giggle?
Yeah, I've never had so much fun writing as I have on this show. It occurs to me that I might have maybe comedy was not my calling.
No, because you can't have one without the other when you're in, when you're in space. You have to have both, and you merge it better than anybody. And I know that because of Stewie. I told you this a long time ago. Stewie, that's my run. I love Stewie. I love Stewie. And Stewie will break your heart and have you on the floor at the same time. And that's it. That's an art to be able to write that way.
Well, you're very kind.
He's a Renaissance man. He sings also standards on Sirius Radio. Okay. Thanks to Seth MacFarlane, The Loudest Voice, premieres this Sunday night on Showtime, and his album Once in a While. See? Once in a While is available on iTunes now. We'll be right back.